Good evening, everyone. I am Occoquan District Supervisor Kenny Bodie. I wanted to welcome you to our Parks Town Hall virtually tonight. Uh, I know a lot of folks out there in the Occoquan District are very interested in parks, recreation, and tourism, as our outdoor parks, our amenities are one of the biggest draws of Prince William County, not only from a tourism standpoint, but eventually, hopefully, to attract folks to live, work, and play here. We know there's a lot of interest in the community about this, so we want to take some time and talk to our panelists tonight about the great parks projects and some of the things we have in the pipeline here in the county and in our Occoquan District specifically. Tonight, I am joined by Mr. Neil Nelson and Ms. Eileen Sheridan, who are our Occoquan District appointees to the Trails and Blueways Council. I am also joined tonight by Mr. Seth Handler Voss, who is the Director of Park, Recreation, and Tourism for Prince William County. Before we go into introductions, just want to remind everyone that we are streaming live on YouTube tonight. Please feel free to share the link with all your friends. And a recording of this town hall will be posted on all of our news, our social media, and our website. As always, you can follow updates for Occoquan District and throughout Prince William County on our website, occoquandistrict.net. And please reach out to our office if you have any additional questions after the recording and the town hall tonight. Without further ado, I will hand it off to Mr. Handler Voss, who has done an immense amount of work, especially over the last few years, in terms of really pushing our parks directives forward. Even in the age of COVID, especially age of COVID, folks really want to get out to the great outdoors, enjoy our great park amenities, and it's no small part due, in fact, to folks like Mr. Handler Voss and his team, who he's going to introduce you tonight, that do a lot of work to making sure that our parks are some of the best in the country. Without further ado, Mr. Handler Voss, you have the floor.
Thank you. Thank you, Supervisor Bodie, and welcome everyone to this town hall tonight. I am honored to serve as your Parks, Recreation, and Tourism Director, and I'm honored to serve alongside Eileen and Neil and the staff from my department who will be speaking with you tonight. It takes a village to implement a first-class park system, and that includes at the staff level, at the community level. We couldn't do it without volunteers, without the input of citizens like you all, without the support of our elected officials, and of course, without the support of the elected official here in the district of Occoquan, Mr. Kenny Bodie, who's a staunch supporter of parks, recreation, and trails. So thank you, Supervisor, for all of your support. We've been very, very busy here in Parks, Recreation, and Tourism trying to not only maintain what we have, but also complete projects. We don't like projects to linger, and we also keep our eyes on trying to expand recreation opportunity in Prince William County. We've got a lot to be excited about. You and the voters approved a bond referendum of $41 million in 2019. That's going to allow us to advance many projects, including finishing up key projects in the Occoquan District. And we have a lot of wonderful opportunities on the horizon as the county grows and our resources increase. We'll be able to take better care of our parks, expand existing parks and trails, and hopefully conserve more land. Land conservation along with trails are two of the most popular sought after investments in Prince William County. We hear you, and we are here to try to make that desire a reality. And it's going to take a sustained, consistent effort. But we feel that if everyone's working at off the same sheet of music, and we are being creative in the way that we generate revenue and attract new resources, we could chip away at our goal of doubling our park acreage and open space acreage in Prince William County. So we have a wide variety of projects we're going to update you on tonight in the Occoquan District. You have some of the most unique parks out of all the districts in Prince William County. You all have the only public access on the Occoquan Reservoir from Prince William County. That's something really special, and there are a lot of other property owners who would die to have the access that we have. You all have one of the premier BMX racing facilities in the Mid-Atlantic region, and the list goes on. So we're going to be sharing some of these exciting projects with you. I want to introduce Brendan Hannafin, who's our capital planning and project Assistant Director, Mr. Matt White, who is our project manager and trail designer, Mr. Robert Boyd, who's also a project manager, trail designer, GIS guru, and everything else in between. Of course, we have Eileen Sheridan with the Trails and Blueways Council, and Neil Nelson with the Trails and Blueways Council as well. Two of the most committed volunteer advisors in Prince William County. These folks take their job very seriously, representing the district and representing the trails interests of Prince William County. So thank you again for attending. I'm honored to serve as your Parks, Recreation, and Tourism Director. And please, if you need anything, just contact my office. I'll put my contact information in the chat box. We are here to serve you, our taxpayers, and our customers. Thank you.
Well, good evening, everybody. Happy April. Brendan Hannafin, as Seth mentioned, the Planning and Capital Project Assistant Director for Parks, Recreation, and Tourism. And I'm going to go through a number of projects that are very important to the Occoquan District. Of course, we have many projects going countywide, but this is a great opportunity for us to talk about one pretty special district that has, like Seth mentioned, some of our most diverse parks, and also the town of Occoquan, which is another great part of this community from a trails and from a park standpoint. So I'm gonna try to share my screen. I'm probably gonna mess it up, so I'm happy that that's gonna be on YouTube. But let me see if I can do this. Is that right, everybody? Okay, perfect. So I'm gonna take you through a number of projects, but the majority of this discussion is going to be about the Occoquan Greenway, which is a 10+ year project to put a premier trail along the Occoquan Reservoir, to the town of Occoquan from the county government center. Lots of, Neil can attest and Matt can attest that there's a lot of moving parts to this project, a lot of things that need to be engineered through. It's a beautiful trail, and we've got a lot done, but we've got a lot more to do. So really what we want to do today is give you an update on where we stand. For this slide here shows the one is the section that goes back towards the county government, which is just a proposed route. Segment 2 we're going to talk about in depth. That is constructed. So is 3 and 4. 5 and 6 are constructed, and then we're going to talk about 7 and 8. A little bit of 6 still needs to be constructed, but those are the segments we're going to talk about for sections 2, 3, 4, 7, and 8. I actually have slides, and we're going to go through where we stand with the projects, what are the next things coming up, and also for the whole trail system, what do we have planned for the near future. For us, I've been with Parks now for almost 2.5 years, and to see this, to just be at the jumping off point for major trail reroutes and new trails this year is very exciting. Segment 2 is the Lake Ridge Marina to Hedges Run. That is an existing trail, but due to I'll call climate resiliency, and the amount of water coursing through these ridges and ravines to get to the Occoquan Reservoir, it is in bad shape in some sections, and you can see where it curves in around some of those ravines on the map to the right. So because of erosion and maintenance cost concerns, we are going to go back, and we've got a plan to harden it, reroute some sections, and then to make it more sustainable in the future. We want to preserve the Class 5 trail experience that we have there, which is more than a mile, just about a mile. Install rest areas, benches, signs, etc., to keep folks on the trail, and also provide points of interest and turnaround spots. We're finding out with the pandemic that we have new trail users and folks who are maybe a 2-mile wooded trail, a hike might be more than they were expecting when they went on that trail hike. So we're going back across our entire system and looking at areas where we need to put additional benches, turnaround spots, make folks more comfortable when they're on our trail system. with their ability to complete the trail system and safely return back to their homes or vehicles. So that's part of this project as well. It's part of all of our projects at this point. We are just about completed with this. What we've run into here is we want, because it's existing and it's working, you can hike that trail today and you'll have a nice experience. We have great views of the reservoir. We're not going to go forward with the additional work until after the bond funds pass for that Seth mentioned, so that we'll have the funding for it. We need to preserve the existing budget funds for sections 3 and 4. Section 2, we do have, it's on hold, but we do have a timetable for how long it will take to finish. It's about 43 weeks. We've already done a lot of the pre-design services, but if the bonds are funded within the next year, we'll get right on this. Again, we feel that because it's an existing section, we can go to some other sections that need more work in new sections and finish those before we come back to this. We just want to make sure people understand that we understand it needs upgrades. This segment 3 hedges run to Mohican Drive. That is an existing trail as well. It follows the service authority lines, easements for a majority of it. And what we're trying to do there is to avoid trail erosion and safety issues caused by the floodplain alignment. Again, it's in the service authority easement, which follows the creek bed. We want to reduce maintenance burden and reduce the number of stream crossings to one crossing to reduce the environmental impact. Again, we are dealing with, even 5 years ago, we weren't dealing with these resiliency issues that we're dealing with now. I'm sure most of you noticed it's rained quite a bit more in the last couple of years than in the previous few years, and more significant flooding and more significant rainfall. So taking out some of those smaller bridges and making one substantial bridge will go a long way towards it. You'll see the design there of the bridge. We'll have 2 bridges that will kind of fit this concept along the entire Greenway. So we're complete with the plans, and it's under permitting right now with the county. We also have to draft the plat. We have a draft plat for a new trail lease area for the Lake Ridge Parks and Rec Association for review and approval. That is, we are building a trail on Lake Ridge property, the HOA property. So we are working through the Parks and Rec group there to have them approve our new trail alignment, which will include another public meeting in May, I believe. Our next steps here, as I mentioned, we're going to get approval from the LRPRA board for the amended deed of lease. We have an existing lease on the existing trail. We need to move some segments and also consolidate those bridge points. We're in permitting now. Bidding and award will take 14 weeks with the caveat there that our fiscal year is July 1st. And in order to bid out, you really have to have everything ready to go in April, and we're not going to have it. So we'll be bidding this out in July with a construction period of 10 weeks. So we are starting in July. It'll be about 24 weeks before we're completed with that trail. The section 4 is also existing, Mohican to Cotton Mill. We have an existing design for really a bridge replacement and a few other improvements around the tributary. So there we are just going to go ahead and finalize the design and submit the permitting. This is an existing bridge. It's much different than the consolidation and the development of a new bridge. You'll see the existing bridge. We will be replacing that with a prefab bridge, which is going to add new abutments and some drainage work and some tree planting around that area. Again, because that's already completed at 100%, we're going to submit for plan review and permitting. We expect that to take about 12 weeks. There is no bidding and award on this project because it's an existing, we put that in there just in case we need to, but as an existing bridge, we can replace it with our current contracts, which are much simpler for us time-wise. And then the construction period is going to be about 5 weeks. So Once we come out of permit within the next 12 weeks, we expect anywhere from 8 to 12 to 11 weeks to have it completed. And again, that's an existing section, but that bridge has been probably the longest running piece of this trail system, and it needs to be replaced. It's actually served its purpose pretty well. Next steps on the Greenway, we have developed trailhead kiosks and user rules to help our visitors to Lake Ridge and to help the Lake Ridge residents with some property issues as far as knowing so folks on the trail will know where the trail is and hopefully steer clear of other people's property. We've also included our contact information. Our agreement to build the trail also includes maintaining and patrolling the trail. Although Neil and his volunteers do probably much better than we do at this point, and we'd love to keep that relationship going. We do have a responsibility to the trail, so we want to make sure that if folks have an issue, they can call us directly, and that way we can expedite any changes we need to do. We also need to make some improvements to the trail connections and Mohican Drive. We need folks to be able to see it better when they want to park and take the trail from that Mohican Drive. So that'll be part of this trail sign improvements. And our communications division is going to assist with a public opening, a groundbreaking, and then a ribbon cutting for the segment this summer. It'd be nice to get not just the folks in Lake Ridge, but across the county to get some more publicity about this great trail system. These are the signs that are going up. We thought you'd like to see those. They show the different segments. They have the park rules and regulations. They also have distance to landmarks, again, so that when you're on the trail and you might not be a very confident, comfortable trail user, you can know ahead of time that, hey, it's going to take me half a mile to get to the next paved road. So we hope that this is something that, again, we've had to do in a lot of our parks, or we're starting to do, just to make folks more confident in their experiences if they're not used to having those experiences. Have our contact information, and we have our QR code to get more information on our trail system. And you'll see the kind of the marketing piece behind that, talking about our association with the Lake Ridge Parks and Recreation Association and the county parks. The next steps for the Greenway, we just talked about a lot of them, but with the citizens approving a bond in November 2019, the Occoquan Greenway was front and center as one of our most important Greenway or trail projects, and it's the first one we're going to try to really complete the whole thing, and that includes not just what we just showed you that is already pretty much shovel ready, sections 2, 3, and 4. It's sections 7 and 8. 5 and 6 are completed, except sections 7 and 8, which have been our #1 engineering issues. How to cross Who's Run, which is a pretty steep and at the mouth a very wide creek that runs into the Occoquan, and also the fact that we have sidewalks and road right up against that creek. So last 2 years ago, we commissioned a feasibility study on the Who's Run crossing to get a firm engineering idea of where we want to do, what are the materials we want to use, what is the cost going to look like. And we've completed that, and we've approved one of the 3 concepts, and I'll show you that in a minute. But so we're ready to go on the design there. So we did the pre-work to get ready for this bond, really feeling that the citizens of the county, saying 71% of them saying on our needs assessment that we want more trails, that the bond would pass for trails. So we wanted to get ahead of that. And also the second constructability issue is the spot from the area where the town of Occoquan bought the Tanyard Hill location, and they've cut their trail system in there. We need to get from that trail system into the town of Occoquan. So that means construction along Tanyard Hill Road. So those will start design this summer if the board approves the budget with those projects in them, and we get the bond sold. This is the crossing for Who's Run, Steel Truss Bridge. We went with this because of its lifespan. The constructability for it is $700,000, and then the construction costs for the both sides of the trail going up to it are about $300,000. So for about $1 million, we'll have this very important section done. I'll caveat this here with, I don't know if any of you all are in the construction industry, but with the pandemic, the last 6 to 7 months of the pandemic, our material costs have and our labor costs have gone through the roof. So we're having a difficult time getting projects under budget or in budget with the skyrocketing inflation to our construction costs. So we are putting in a contingency in the bond for these projects. Segment 8 is Tenured Hill. That is a shared use path along the Tenured Hill Road in Union Street. Sorry, I stumbled a bit there. Estimated cost for construction there is for $420,000. So that's a sidewalk that'll come out of the Tenured Hill Occoquan Park, Occoquan Town property to go into the town. And Occoquan is a trailhead or a trail town for a number of important trails. Potomac Heritage Trail, the East Coast Greenway, the Route 1 bike trail. So it's to get another path to the town is a very big deal. The town has really marketed themselves and positioned themselves as a real important stop along a lot of important trails within the East Coast. Okay, let's see. Kind of frozen here. Oops, not anymore. We're jumping ahead, folks. Okay, I'm going to jump into from the Occoquan Greenway to some of our other really great park opportunities here. We're super happy that we are under construction with the Harbor Drive Wellness Park. You'll see the colored illustrative here. This 2+ acre community park is located on the corner of Minnieville and Harbor Drive. And for those of you who might have used it as a commuter lot in the past, you'll still see it sitting there as a barren commuter lot with some construction equipment on it now, which is a good thing. This was a great way to repurpose a commuter lot and a lot of asphalt into something different. And working with the citizens, with Supervisor Anderson and Supervisor Bodie, we've come up with a concept of a community health park. An area that you can walk to within the community of Lake Ridge, and all of Occoquan for that matter, to use the facility. We're really focused on improving community health, which is a major tenet of our comprehensive plan. Trails tend to improve community health, and the National Park Service has a Parks RX program, and Kaiser Permanente is working with us to subscribe walking to folks who have a need to get more exercise. The amenities include a paved walking path, 2 fitness stations on either side of that walking path, which would allow you to get outdoor fitness opportunities, a large accessible playground, bike repair station, a pollinator garden, a natural meadow area. And pollinators are so important right now with the fact that our bee population is having such a hard time sustaining themselves. And also we'll make connections to Minnieville Road and Harbor Drive, so we can use the Minnieville Road shared use path all the way down to Kaiser Permanente. So you'll be able to go for a much longer walk using the park as a hub. The permitting is complete. Construction starts this month. Construction started now, so you'll see equipment out there. We are expecting really a September completion, but we're pushing that to October just in case there's weather issues. We're hoping for a fairly dry summer and to get this done and open in September. All right, a new park, Davis Ford Road Park. It's a 57-acre site owned by the Prince William County Service Authority off Davis Ford Road. For those of you who live on Davis Ford Road, I'm sure you're aware of where it is. It's where a settling pond had been for many years and a Service Authority facility. They've closed the pond and filled it in. They also remediated it for environmental concerns, and now it is an open field. They're removing security fencing along the road and also in the wood line. So a park doesn't need security fencing. We want our wildlife and our folks to be able to move around. So they were nice enough to remove that for us. They're donating it to the county this spring, maybe into the summer. We're looking into June, early June. The first step is to master plan the park, to find out what our citizens want out of it. What we've heard so far is really a passive recreation park fits the neighborhood there. It fits the needs of the community. And what I mean by that is trails, great place to walk a dog, maybe some bike trails. We would reforest some of the area where the pond had been and probably do some more wildlife and pollinator gardens as well. That's really, I guess I should spell better. I'm sorry about that with the ready. That'll master plan will have a lot of public input. We do make sure that we are listening to what the citizens want across the community, and certainly in the area of the location of the park project. There's no funding for this, so our next step after a master plan is to, and the master plan will be done internally, is to put this in the capital project queue, and hopefully it'll be approved by the board for capital. We expect about $1 million turnkey to put everything together as we see it. The public use is pretty important here as far as the consistency with our master plan. By the way, I put this slide together about a half an hour ago, so I do apologize for the typos there. That's not good. Right now, it has a small parking area that's used by the Service Authority, and the trail network it's a beautiful forest. So I think a trail network would be, personally, would be a great ask for that property. Charlie Boone Park, skate park. Seth, if you could get back on the line, I'd love for you to take everybody through this.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Thanks, Brendan. So this is a proposed public skate park and BMX park right there behind the Old Bridge Vets Hospital there at Smoketown and Old Bridge Road. This project is the vision of the Charlie Boone Memorial Foundation, and it's a private foundation, nonprofit foundation, who approached the Board of Supervisors about the idea of constructing this public park and turning it over to the Board of County Supervisors. And the board approved a memorandum of understanding with the Charlie Boone Memorial Foundation. They are in a process of raising funds for this project. It'll be a turnkey project. And what that means is that this foundation will be paying the cost for the design and engineering. They'll also be raising all the money for the construction. And once they raise all of those funds, we will work with them to select a contractor and manage the construction of the project. And then it will be turned over to the county to operate for the public. So this rendering here on the slide was done by their architectural consultant, and gives you an idea of what the park amenities will entail. You can see it's got a proposed skate bowl. There are going to be some BMX pump tracks that aren't shown on this video, a restroom facility, and some parking. Very exciting project. And the project really is intended to honor the life of the late Charlie Boone, who was an avid skateboarder and BMX rider, who actually used this property and the area around it with his friends as a recreational outlet. And this project will honor his legacy and provide an outlet for youth to get them off the streets and into a productive environment. So this is very much going to be an active use park in the Occoquan District, and it'll be a very unique park. We only have one other skate park in Prince William County, and that's at Veterans Park. So this will be the second skate park, and we're very excited about the potential of this project to really transform this neighborhood.
Thank you, Seth. I'd like to point out here, I can go back one. If you look at the way we think about our park system, Davis Ford 2-lane road, very quiet residential area with lots of open space. What would fit there? We believe more open space and trails, very low impact activities. When you go to this property here, you can see where it's already on a developed area of Old Bridge Road. It's got plenty of amenities around it. And this use, this more intense use, well, not very intense, but more intense uses, we feel is a great way to, it's a great spot to put it. So that's kind of how we look at these park projects and try to put them in the appropriate places for folks to use them. Existing projects, we have a program in the county called the Building Facility Program. It's about 5 years old now. And it was started to put funding every year into existing and aging infrastructure for parks and for public buildings. It's been very successful. If you've noticed in some of our parks, we've had a lot of upgrades, and we just repaved the tennis court in Occoquan and added pickleball to it. That was a building facility program project. At Vets, which is very close by, we have a $1.2 million project going to add sidewalks, ADA accessibility, improvements to the basketball courts, tennis courts, the roadways there, fix stormwater problems. Those type of things are perfect for this funding source, and it's really allowing parks to start to catch back up on years of backlog maintenance projects. This is an example here. The marina has a storm water system that is built right into the parking lot. That is because we're right on the Occoquan Reservoir, don't have a lot of room to move water safely and clean it and release it slowly into the river. I'm sorry, to the reservoir. And so this was an existing facility that over time had failed. So we've upgraded it significantly. You see the pipes there store the stormwater and release them slowly into the reservoir. Great project. We have our own environmental services construction unit doing the project for us, which for us from an environmental side is a very good thing because that's what they do, environmental remediation. We had a site plan approved, and we've been under construction for a while now. We're actually past 75% complete at this point. We are doing the curb and gutter this week around it, and then we have to put the final layer of porous pavement down, and then we'll be done. So we are slating the 25th of April to be completed with that. Lots of questions on this. It takes up a lot of room in that parking lot. And now that our folks are back, our high school students are back rowing, it's really an inconvenience. So we're trying to get that wrapped up and get that parking lot open.
And Brendan, I'm not gonna just to jump in a little bit. We have some questions on the line. So before we move over to the next couple of slides, I wanted to get you all to field some of those to give you a second to rest. You've been giving us a lot of great information. There's a lot of great projects going on. I wanted to give you some time to breathe. So to start off with the Occoquan Greenway, one of the questions is there a timeline for building the sidewalk along Tanyard Hill into the town of Occoquan? I know you talked a little bit about that and how that's going to be a major sort of end piece of the Greenway going right into the town of Occoquan. So is there a general timeline for that segment of the Greenway?
Should we receive funding from the bond, it actually will. We do have money in the project budget, the existing CIP. So if we know after the board votes in April that the funding is coming, we could start preliminary design of both those sections, the Tanyard Hill and the Who's Run, and then we would follow with the $500,000 worth of bond funding to get that under design and complete the design. Design will take. There's some tricky pieces along the Occoquan because of the environmental concerns. So with Who's Run and Tanyard Hill, I would expect a 2-year design and permitting process. And so 2 years from, say, this September, we would be under construction. So that would be, what, September 23?
Yeah, if I might add for everyone's knowledge that the proposed 6-year capital improvement program includes design monies for next fiscal year, which starts July 1, but the construction dollars for Occoquan Greenway would not be available until fiscal year 24, which will be after July 1, calendar year 2013.
Right, so we would be targeting September of 2013 to start construction.
2023.
Yeah. I'm sorry, 2023. Correct.
I mean, I know you are very efficient, but if you guys can actually go back in time to complete projects, I'm sure a lot of folks would be jumping all over that. Thank you for that. So another question we got for the Greenway is how many miles, trail miles, are currently hikeable under the existing conditions? How many miles are currently hikeable?
Matt, you want to take that one on, Matt?
Hey, Brendan. I probably am not the best to speak to it as the project manager and engineer on these more isolated projects along the segments. I don't have that number at the top of my head. And Robert, could you put a number on that for us, please?
Yeah. So it's right about 6.5 miles. So the largest section is the portion from the marina back to the county complex. That's about 4 miles. Segments 3 and 4 both about 1 mile, and then 5 and 6 are about 0.5 mile each. So it's right around 6.5 miles.
And then just to follow up on that, Robert, what do we anticipate to be the total mileage for the completed Occoquan Greenway when these gaps have been filled?
13 miles is the plan as of right now.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Robert. And we do have a brochure that does highlight that. I just didn't want to try to pull it up and mess up what I'm doing here, but we can make that available to the supervisor to publish on his website.
Absolutely, we love to do that. Appreciate it. So the last Occoquan Greenway question we have is there anything residents can do to help move this process along? I know that especially in the Lake Ridge community, as you said, this has been almost a decade in development. So is there any way that the folks in Lake Ridge and in the district and throughout the county, how they can help move this along and move this forward?
We've got so much support, sir, that we are meeting with the HOA quarterly, and that in itself is a very good way to keep us going. So I think we've made a lot of movement in the last 9 or 10 months, and so I just keep supporting us. And and Neil and his volunteers do such an amazing job, not just here but across the eastern part of the county or the whole county. That if you want to get involved there and help us maintain what we have, that's always a huge way to keep it sustainable.
And please encourage your Board of Supervisors to support the proposed budget for fiscal year 22. That is critical, capital C critical, for us to move this project to completion.
Appreciate that. A small plug for that. We will be having a public hearing on the budget this coming Tuesday at 7:30 and 8 o'clock at the Board of Supervisors chambers. You can also tune in online. So as Mr. Handler Voss said, a lot of folks out there want to see these projects completed in a timely manner, and funding is a key, vital, critical capital C, as Mr. Handler Voss said, component, making sure that these projects get done on time and that we're able to enjoy them as soon as possible. So please come out to our public hearing this coming Tuesday at the Board of Supervisors meeting to voice your support for these projects if you so choose. Thank you for that. Our next question shifts over to the Harbor Drive Wellness Park. You mentioned earlier that this is going to be one of those sort of revolutionary accessible playgrounds. That's going to be a component in this park. One of our questions is, what does accessible playground specifically mean? And please explain the type of equipment, services, and features, surfaces and features we will see at the Harbor Drive Park specifically.
Great question. And that's actually something we got from the very beginning of this project. So it was a good way to keep us on our toes. I will let Robert, who's the project manager on the project, talk about that. And primarily, one of the surface is very important, as well as the height of the different play areas. 1-story versus 2-story steps, things like that are very significant. And it's not just wheelchair accessibility; it's accessibility to many different needs.
Yeah, so as Brendan mentioned, one of the big things we look at when we're talking about accessibility for these different play elements is the level. So this playground isn't going to have sort of the traditional, multi-level play surface that you think of, steps going up to a slide and things like that. all of the play elements are on the ground level. So that someone in a wheelchair, someone with mobility problems will be able to access all the play elements in this playground. Both the playground and the fitness areas will have a poured in place rubber surface. It's not going to be wood fiber or anything that someone's going to have trouble walking through or trouble getting a wheelchair through. So that was one of really the focuses when we were designing this is having a person who is in a wheelchair or has some other type of disability easily be able to get into the park and access every part of the park, including the walking path, the fitness equipment, the playground, and the path that cuts through the pollinator garden. I think, and one other thing, go ahead, Tessa.
Jason, if you would give me, excuse me, if you'd give me sharing permission, I can actually pull up the construction drawings and some of the equipment photos, which will help supplement Robert's verbal description.
So do I have to stop sharing?
Actually,
Okay.
yeah.
You should have screen sharing privileges now, Seth.
Yes. So as you can see, as I was saying earlier, there's no sort of play structure like you would normally think of when you think of a playground. This is all on one level. It's all individual pieces of equipment that can be accessed by people with differing abilities and differing ages as well. There's also an element that is called the shadow play element that is a sensory play element. It plays different light shadows on the ground, different colored shadows. So that's another thing that we're adding in, trying to deal with people or to offer opportunities to people who have sensory, who have different sensory needs than typical. I think that answers the question about the surfacing and the play equipment, but I'm happy to go into more depth if needed.
No, I think that's great. I really appreciate that, Robert. And folks just need to realize that we don't have very many parks as of yet in the county at all that provide true accessible play, truly accessible fitness equipment. And so we had in mind from the very beginning, as Mr. Handler Voss and some other folks said, having this community that has different needs, different ability levels to be able to access this park. And with our partnership with the Kaiser Permanente, we really want to make sure that this is one of those amenities that no matter your ability level, your mobility issues, what have you, you can enjoy the amenities at this park. The next question is already answered actually by this slide that's up already, but it's when will construction on Harbor Drive Park begin?
It's underway now, and it will be completed. We're hoping for mid-September. All of our permits are in. Our contractor's been picked. He's given us the shop drawings. He's ordered a lot of the equipment. We'll mention a small note here. It's interesting. We went. You see the parking lot to the west there. You see one handicap spot, one van accessible spot. Well, that's all that's needed for this through the permitting for this size facility. Well, we realized once we had done it and got it all approved that if we were trying to bring folks to this accessible playground, we probably need to add additional spots. And there wasn't as much of a need for vehicle parking there as there was for accessibility parking there. There's a lot of folks who are going to walk to this. So we are adding additional spaces. So it just tells you how the projects, even though we think we got a great plan, we got to keep looking at it, and it's public input's really important. We figured this one out on our own, but public input is also very important in a project.
Appreciate that. And as folks can see, the park is slated to be done very late September or early October, depending on weather. So we're looking forward to seeing this come up later this year in the fall.
And Supervisor, if I may add to that, sir, our friends at Kaiser Permanente have generously granted us funding to provide free outdoor fitness classes at the park to celebrate its opening. So stay tuned for information about that opportunity.
Appreciate that. And the next, what?
I'm sorry, I was just going to mention that's important to us because once we teach folks how to use it, they can use it on their own. They'll be maximizing the benefit.
Sure, absolutely. And the next question is, how wide is the tree buffer between the park and the existing residences in Mill Pond Village?
Robert, I'm not going to step on myself here by saying it's no narrower than 50 feet.
That's correct. So to the west of the park, it's 50 feet, and to the north, it's 30 feet. We won't be taking out the existing trees. We'll just be adding to it.
Great, appreciate that. And then I believe almost all of our parks are dawn till dusk. But the next question is, what will the park hours be?
Yeah, dawn till dusk. It will not be gated, but it will be dawn till dusk.
Sure, appreciate that. And who's going to be building the playground is the next question.
So the playground equipment comes from a company called Game Time, which we work with on most of our playgrounds. And the construction company who's doing the entire park will be DeBorn Construction. And the installer's name, I'm blanking on the installer's name for the equipment. I'm blanking on. I'll grab that and I'll put it in the chat, both on YouTube, and I'll jump in if I get a chance.
Appreciate that. Thank you so much, Robert. And the last questions we have are, first, what will the plant selection look like for the pollinator garden? Will they be native plants? And then is there a rendering or a more detailed illustrative of what the park will look like when it's completed?
There will be native plants. We've actually reached out to our native plant societies for some of the different mixes that we would use. Yeah, we definitely don't want to put invasives in there. And this is what we have. I mean, we can look to see if we can if we have better illustrators, and if we do, we'll send them to the supervisor's office to put online. There will be some sculptures within the trail, some native birds and animals, silhouettes and things like that. If you've been to the boardwalk, in the abstract, you notice we're trying to add some more artistic elements to our parks, and this will have this, not the same, but it will have that kind of element.
And I found the email. The installer for the equipment will be Custom Park Services.
Appreciate that. Thank you so much.
And so our contractor is actually local Woodbridge contractor, so we're very happy we had a bidder from within the county.
Yeah, we appreciate that. We're always looking to use our local workers, our local workforce, keep our money here in Prince William. So I greatly appreciate that. And then two final questions. These are for the Davis Ford park that's coming down the pipeline on the horizon. Can you explain what a passive use park is and why is the choice being made for this location?
Well, we're going to master plan. So this is what we're thinking about internally as a park system. And I mentioned because it's in a pastoral setting. It's in an area of the county that doesn't have, it's not overly developed. So to stay with that community, to stay with that feel of the community, and to save more trees, to add more pollinators, add more meadows for our birds and wildlife. It's right outside of an urban area. It makes a lot of sense to use it as almost a buffer to that area. And when we looked at some other uses for it, it's 57 acres. It's large enough to put a pocket park in, or a neighborhood park in with some amenities. But we just looking around the area, we try to balance off what we're doing. In Occoquan, we feel could use some more passive rec. And passive rec really is being as minimal as possible on the land. You use the contours of the land for the trails, use the tree cover. It's got a really good tree canopy in there. It's wide open for trails. And we would love it to be connected to water, but it's not, other than we just filled in a little pond. That's really what passive rec is. Passive rec is probably the lowest level of park development. So we won't be ball fields. I say that, but we're going to have public meetings and we're going to talk about all these things through the supervisor's office and through our own communications department. We'll have a lot of input here as to what to do, and what everybody thinks we should do. Right now, we're coming at it because of the lay of the land. the siting of the property, that it's probably the highest and best use is to leave it more undisturbed than disturbed.
That makes sense to me, and that sort of fits with the character of the area. And wanted to also highlight, like you said before, the Occoquan District, folks don't realize most of the time, is much larger than the area around the town of Occoquan. You know, we span the town of Occoquan on the eastern end, on 95. We go all the way out to the Yates Ford, Davis Ford, Evans Ford corridor. So, you know, we have to make sure that our parks that we're putting in, we're planning out, fit the character of the different aspects of our district. And I think that, you know, I'm looking forward to those public conversations about what this Davis Ford Park looks like. So I appreciate that. Last one with this for the Davis Ford Park. Will there be a traffic light?
Again, when you look at passive recreation, we're not talking about a lot of cars in and out in a day, and that's a pretty good straightaway. As you can see, that's a really nice straightaway along Davis Ford. So we would not consider a traffic light unless during our permitting process, VDOT said, hey, you need to put a light in. We don't think, you look at the boardwalk in the Absco when there's 300,000 people, are using that in a year. That has a traffic light now with the corner of Blackburn and Ripon Boulevard. Not just because of the park, but because of the use in that area. This is a 2-lane road. We don't. I don't see a need for it, but again, we'll go through the planning process and see what VDOT says. I would highly doubt they would want a traffic light on that stretch of Davis Ford.
Appreciate that. And we did have a few more questions come in for some of the other parks to go, but I want to keep us moving forward. So if there's time near the end, we can get back to these. But if we can get back to the rest of the presentation, let's keep moving.
Okay. We're almost done, sir. We've got the Lake Ridge Park Marina, the dock, the existing dock there. If you folks have frequented the park in your neighborhood, it's been closed for about 2 years now. It's been under design to repair it longer than that. It's past its useful life. It's unsafe, so we need to replace it. This is a long process because we're working on the Occoquan Reservoir, and Fairfax County Water has authority over that reservoir. It was a building facility program project. That's the only reason we actually had funding for it, because the $600,000 was earmarked out of that, out of those funding. That funding, although it's been very generous to the county to fix buildings up and fix things like this up, there's a whole list of projects that are vetted through this process, and it's really splitting hairs to see which one's more important than the other one. So we did get funding for it. It is permitted. It is in bid right now, which means it's in procurement. It will close on the 27th. It's a dock, and we're not getting a lot of, we're getting some high bids on some of our building projects. So we've been reaching out to different marina builders across the area to see if we can get interest in bidding it. If it does, we do get a project number we can go with for bid. We'll start construction after the permitting. The procurement process will take until about May to get the contract let, and we'll start construction sometime at the end of June. And we're hoping to have that done over the summer so that for fall crew we'll be ready to go.
Appreciate that.
Very difficult, and Matt could tell you, it's not difficult. It's just very time consuming to get all the approvals and easements from the water authority to put a couple of piles in the Occoquan. It's a heavily permitted, very important water source for the county and for our sister counties. So there's a very significant and needed environmental factor in all the projects we do. We'll finish with this project here, the BMX track at near the stadium over at the McCourt building. Great track, well used. The BMX folks they run everything. The volunteers there. One of the best community partners that Parks has, as far as just getting out there and putting their blood, sweat, and tears into this project, into maintaining the park. But we stepped forward as a board and as a community to, we had landed about 5 years ago, we landed a major East Coast tournament there. And to get that tournament back again, our tourism and Seth and our tourism department worked awfully hard to earmark and find funds to revamp the track so that it would be that top tournament level track. So we did the turns, the asphalt turns. We added ADA accessibility, sidewalks, and parking, so that folks could get in there and enjoy the trail. And we redid all of the tracks. Worked closely, very closely over time with our BMX partner stakeholders to get that done. It was very, it was a lot of work. We also had a number of drainage improvements over time. The ground had just, the clay had spread all over the place and clogged up a lot of our drains, and causing some significant erosion problems. And then lastly, we were able to put lights in. Our new comp plan says, hey, let's take care of what we have and let's make what we have better so that we can use it longer. And maybe we won't need as much. So this is a great example of the BMX folks will be able to race in the evenings now, and well into the fall, into the early spring, when it gets dark earlier. So that's a huge improvement for that incredibly well-used track, which also provides economic benefit to the county through sports tourism. Just a great project and great people to work with on the families that run the track. And as Seth mentioned, for the Charlie Boone track, these are kids that are out there recreating responsibly with their families on a nightly basis in the community, and those are the type of amenities and important facilities that we need to provide. And I believe that is the last on our project updates. Oh, I'm sorry. Before we go, I can answer more questions now, or Robert can take us to our Parks and Rec online tools for folks, and also our capital project online tool. We'd love to show you all that to get more folks being able to track projects and find parks and amenities easier.
Sure, let's answer some more questions and then we can sort of wrap up with the tools.
Okay.
So it looks like some of the questions that came in from earlier.
Supervisor Bodie, I think you just went on mute.
Yeah, sorry about that. So the question is in regards to the Harbor Drive Wellness Park, what is the cleaning and maintenance schedule for this park since it's so close to homes and residences?
Seth, I'll let you do the maintenance side of it, but we do clean our parks every day.
We do. So it'll be put into the mowing schedule. We have some additional horticultural maintenance requirements. It'll require specialized plant care. That'll be done as necessary on a frequent basis. We do trash control, litter control, and trash collection almost every day of the week. So it'll get the same amount of maintenance attention as every other park in our system.
Appreciate that.
And
And
also with the ranger as well. It'll be patrolled on a regular basis.
Yeah. And then the last question for this park is, and I think this has probably been done already, but is there an advisor from the disability community who has brought perspective when it comes to the design and the layout of the park?
Seth, you want to go ahead and take that one? You were here before we designed it.
Sure. So we had some disability rights advocates who participated in the charrette process, and so we got direct input from parents of special needs children when we were designing the concepts. And in addition to that, we included our accessibility program accessibility professional Veronica Loftman on the team to review what we were doing. And we followed the standard universal accessibility guidelines when putting the plan together as well. Plus, we had an architectural consultant working with us. So we had a lot of experts involved in this process.
Appreciate that. And I think, let me see. Okay, and we have some more generalized questions and sort of comments based on just the district more broadly and the area more broadly. The first question is there a trail management group in the 22192 zip code? For folks that don't know, 22192 is the predominant zip code for the Occoquan District. So is there a trail management group? Does it function like the Appalachian Trail clubs that maintain the Appalachian Trail? And if folks want to volunteer to help maintain a trail, how does that work?
Well, I'll field that, Seth, if you want to jump in, but and Robert and Matt as well. The majority of the trail system is the Occoquan Greenway, and that is the Lake Ridge Parks and Rec Association volunteers. Neil is prominent there. They work all over Eastern Prince William County, and I hate to say just Eastern Prince William County, but that's what we're talking about right now. I'm sure, Neil, you do a lot more other places too. We also have the Potomac Heritage Association, Potomac Heritage National Scenic Trail Association, that is a tremendously active volunteer association that not only raises funds for the trail, they manage the feasibility study for the Powell's Creek Trail outside of Leesylvania for us. They raised the funds and did the study for us. So they provide that kind of support as well. But they're very active on cleanups. And then, of course, we have our, within the community, within the county, we have our Keep Prince William Beautiful, which is very active on cleanups, not necessarily trail maintenance. But so there's a number of groups that do trail maintenance. Of course, we have our own trail maintenance crew as well that we need to expand as we expand our trails. That's going to be a budgetary issue in the future here, that we're outpacing our trail development's outpacing our ability to maintain our trails. So that is something that we're facing now. And so the more volunteers, the better. And also for trails, we also have scouts. Scouts and Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts are great laborers. So typically what we'll do for an Eagle Scout project is we'll put together a project like build a kiosk to our specifications or benches or something like that. But then we also want you to maintain X amount of trail. You know, that labor part of that for that scout to get his Eagle to really know how to manage a group of kids and manage a project. So we have a lot of success there as well. So we could always use more volunteers. If you're in the Lake Ridge area, I think that's the Parks and Rec Association for Lake Ridge would be the trail group there would be a great place to start. The Potomac Heritage National Scenic Trail Association, another great place to start. And then Keep Prince William Beautiful, easy way to volunteer and help out.
Absolutely appreciate that. A lot of different ways to get involved and to help out from a volunteer basis. And we welcome everyone who's willing to help us keep our trails and our greenways clean. The next question is, are there plans to add more recreation facilities such as tennis courts to our area parks? And if so, where are the ones we can, and if not, or what, either way, where are ones that we can currently access?
We do have a full tennis court. I think it's 2 courts up in right outside of the town of Occoquan, and that's a county park. We just for tennis specifically, pickleball is now a big thing. So we're restriping we repaved and we're restriping Veterans Park. That's got a pretty significant tennis footprint there with 3 courts, and that's going to include pickleball. I'm sorry, 4 courts. And for the district itself, our biggest opportunity is an expansion of Chin, which is something we've talked about, to add more programming to Chin. But those are Chin and Dale City are aging facilities that are where the building facility program is allowing us to keep up with the maintenance, but we haven't, that would be a kind of an out year lift to try to add more facilities there. It's really a balance between trying to keep open space and trying to have park amenities in each district.
And I know that expanding Chin and us really digging in deep with investments there as part of the master plan that the board approved earlier on last year. I know Mr. Handler Voss has been talking to us about that for quite some time. So that's definitely something that is going to need some money. It's going to need some real investment, real funding, from taxpayers, from grants and otherwise. So I hope we can continue to have conversations about that in subsequent budget years, because it needs to happen, like you said, between Chin and some of our Dale City facilities. These are aging facilities, but they're also key maintenance, key amenities and key recreational and community facilities that bring the community together. So I hope we can continue to support those. That was it in terms of sort of the general questions. Let's see. While I sort of go through this, Mr. Nelson and Miss Sheridan, since you all haven't had a chance to speak very much as of yet, would you mind introducing your organizations and what you have been doing to help maintain and really be great advocates, as Mr. Handler Voss said earlier, for our trails and blueways?
Want me to go first, Neil, or you want to go?
Go ahead, Eileen.
Sure. So both Neil and I have been Occoquan appointees to the Trails and Blueways Council, which is an organization that was established in 2009, I think it was. And there are 2 members of each district appointed to this council, and the Parks Department is who organizes our meetings and works with us to be facilitators. And it's essentially to promote trails throughout the county. The work that the Trails and Blueways Council is working on now actually is more bigger picture in terms of the current county comprehensive plan for mobility and making sure that trails appear in the mobility chapter of the comprehensive plan. We actually worked through the parks chapter of the comprehensive plan last year and work through getting trails into that. So there's bigger picture issues and smaller issues or more, I guess I'd say, tactical on the ground with specific trails that the Trails and Blueways Council works on. There's actually, you can go to the pwcgov.org/TBC, and that describes what the council is. We meet monthly. It's open to the public. We've been meeting via Zoom since last year. So I guess half of us are, because of social distancing, half have been meeting in person and the other half have been meeting via Zoom so that we can conduct business. But anybody who's interested is welcome to participate in the Zooms or come to the meetings too. And then I also participate in a new developed coalition called the Greater Prince William Trails Coalition, which is a coalition of public and private, nonprofit, government, business organizations who are promoting trails throughout Greater Prince William. So it's Prince William County as well as the cities of Manassas and Manassas Park. And that website is greaterpwtrails.org or gpwtrails.org. And you can find out more about our organization. We formalized as an organization in 2020, so it's new. And that's it for me. Neil has some other things that he participates in too. He can share that with you.
Yeah, I'm Neil Nelson. I live in Lake Ridge, so I know that the Lake Ridge Homeowners Association, the board, is really supportive of the trail, and it's one of their priority projects right now. In response to the question that came up about how can we support or indicate our support for the trail, even though in general there's a lot of support on Lake Ridge, it would never hurt for Lake Ridge residents to send an email to the board or call the offices just as a reminder that it's on your mind and they're interested and you're interested in the trail. A trails committee meets periodically and it's publicized. You can attend a trails committee meeting. or actually attend one of the Lake Ridge quarterly board meetings as citizens time, just say that you are hoping to see progress on the trail and look forward to using it. Surveys in past years and more recently in Lake Ridge and in the community and in the county as a whole indicate the trails are one of the top, one of the most desired amenities and or priorities for recreation facilities. But it never hurts to speak up and let the association know that you live here and you're interested in trail. And also, those of you who are interested in volunteering for trail work, there's no single organization that's just specifically set up to do work on the Occoquan Greenway, but let me go ahead and say, go ahead and contact me, and I'll give you my email address. Maybe we can attach it to the chat or something as well. You know, neil.nelson@pwtsc.org. That's a volunteer group that Brendan has mentioned that does work on the east end of the county and throughout the county. In past years, we did make some of the connections on the Lake Ridge Trail, you know, from the Occoquan Reservoir up to Hedges Run, and then Hedges Run over to Mohican, and Mohican to Cotton Mill to, you know, this is complements the Occoquan Greenway and make some connections so that there's more of a network and we don't have dead end trail segments. But go ahead and send me an email and I'll try to keep you abreast of opportunities. I know that when we get into the Who's Run area, it does take a lot of maintenance over there to keep that clear. And if I can, I would like to ask one question on the Occoquan Greenway, and you may have answered this in the past, but for the sidewalk on Tanyard Hill, do we need any land acquisition to complete that, or do we have the right of way now to finish that if it's funded in the future?
Neil, I'll have to get back with you on that one. I don't have the study in front of me, but judging by the cost, it does not include acquisition of land. So we should be able to use that right away, but I'll double check on that one. And that is a bit of a raised sidewalk because that is right on the road with a retaining wall against it to hold back that. Everybody knows, if you've ever been on Tanyard Hill, you know it's a pretty steep bank right there. So it's a pretty significant retaining wall up against that.
And I do want to, I'm sorry, go ahead, Eileen.
I was just going to put another plug in there. So for the Greater Prince William Trails Coalition, our quarterly meeting is actually next week on the 15th. You can email info@gpwtrails.org and get a link to attend the meeting. Congressman Connolly is actually going to be a keynote speaker, and we're actually going to be presenting what we've been working on for the last year is an aspirational trails map for the county, the entire county, where we've solicited input for people to place trails on a map to see where we could expand and provide facilities in the county.
One more quick comment, please. Lake Ridge HOA is holding a town hall meeting on Monday, May 10 at 7 p.m. On the Greenway, and specifically this will be focusing on the segment 3 bridge construction and proposed trail realignment on segment 3. That's, you know, between Hedges Run and Mohican. Monday, May 10, 7 p.m. at Tall Oaks, and it'll be hybrid virtual attendance as well. A chance to hear more about the trail then.
Thank you for that, Ms. Sheridan, Mr. Nelson. Seth, did you have something you wanted to add to that? Or you want to talk earlier?
Wanted to thank the town of Occoquan. If you happen to run into to the town council, Mayor Porta, please thank them for their partnership and cooperation in the Tanyard Hill connection. That requires a partnership because there were some town residents on the other side of the road from the trailhead who have experienced flooding. and it has been a thorn in the town council side for many, many years. So along with us, they were very eager to develop a solution, and we worked together to do just that.
Appreciate that, Mr. Hanley-Voss. Yeah, no, we've been dealing with those flooding issues for those particular residents for quite some time. We have some other things we were able to do for them temporarily. Oh, there's a great rendering of what it should look like when it's done. You can see that a retaining wall, which will help, fix some of the issues that are going on. You see that nice mixed use trail that'll come out right off the Greenway and right into the town. So that'll be good. Appreciate you for sharing that. Wanted to share anything about that since you brought it up?
Just to answer the question of how we see it to work. Again, I just off of it here. I don't know for sure that that's not all VDOT right away. So there might be some land we've got to acquire, but if you notice above it, there's power lines there, and those are typically put in the right of way as well. So our construction costs don't show that we have an acquisition, but I'll check on that, and you can report back later on that.
Sure. And as I wanted to be very sensitive to the time here, we are at 7:48. So let's close out with our new parks tools like the Rec Mapper, the Parks Project site.
Sure, I can run us through those real quick. So as part of our comp plan, we're really, as a department, trying to be more transparent and really just show a lot more of the great things that we're doing for the community. And part of that is the creation of more online, a better online presence. And that's some of the stuff I'm going to show you here today. The first thing I'm going to go over is the new recreation mapper. You can get to it from the Parks and Recreation website, either through the Find a Park link, or right now it's in this large header here. So if you open this up, it's a map-based tool that basically just shows all of the recreation opportunities in the county. And we intentionally named it the recreation mapper instead of just a park mapper, because we tried to cover more than just parks. So it's broken down into parks, special facilities, which are our skate parks, our fitness centers, things like that, historic properties, which are part of the DPRT umbrella, trails, and also public water access. So all of these pictures that you see here on the left are all the facilities that we're discussing. They all align with the map you see over here on the right. If you click into one of these pictures, you'll get directions to the site, a brief rundown of what the park has to offer, and just links to other things within the park. So for instance, this has been Loman, so you've got a link to the Splashdown Water Park and everything that offers. And also, if you want to rent a pavilion, if there's other rental opportunities in the park, you'll be able to access all that straight from here. Again, as I mentioned, the special facilities, the same thing with our fitness centers, our skate parks, our pools, the golf courses. We've included the schedules that are the exercise and open gym schedules for the fitness centers on here. So all that's linked. Same thing with our historic properties, some information on each of the historic properties, and then a link to the HP website if you want to read even more. The trails tab is a little different. We've got our 3 regional trails that cut through the county that Brendan mentioned earlier. And if you zoom in, you can start to see them laid out across the county. And you can click on the different trails that you see, and they'll give you just a breakdown of what you're looking at. And again, the same thing, if you go into the pictures, you get directions to the trailheads and also just maps of the trails, and any information that you need to know about using the trails. Water access, we'll be expanding this a little more as I can get onto Quantico and take some pictures of the public access there. But these are all public water access points. We've also included some of them on the Occoquan River that are on the Fairfax side, just in case you want to put in somewhere in the county and take out somewhere on the Fairfax side, either at Bull Run or Fountainhead or Occoquan Regional Park. And again, with all of these, we've included the pertinent information that you need to know before you go to these sites. Any launch fees, any access fees for the state parks is all included here. So it's just a one-stop shop to see for people who are in the county, who already know some of this stuff. They want to make sure a park is open. They want to see what a park has to offer, and also to advertise what our county has to offer to people from outside of town. We're going to be using this as a tourism generator as well. So we'll be sharing this tool out a lot when people want to know more about what they can do in Prince William County. And more on the planning side, another tool.
Robert, can you give them the quick URL? It's pretty easy to remember. It's www.pwcrecmapper.com, pwcrecmapper.com, correct?
Yep, that's correct.
So please tell your friends and family and loved ones about this tool. We want everyone in the county to know about it and to give it a spin. Let us know what you think, please.
Yep, and we actually, along those lines, we have a link up here in the top corner that will take you to a survey where you can leave your feedback. If you think there are things that need to be changed, things that we can improve on, you can let us know here and we'll get those changes implemented. Okay, so to move on, as I was saying, more on the planning side, the same thing, we want to get this information out to people on what we're doing to improve the park system in the county. Again, from the Parks and Recreation homepage, we've built a capital improvement plan project tracker. It's under the Planning and Development tab under Capital Projects. Now I'll take you to this tool, which again is a map-based tool that is going to show all the active capital projects in the county. So there's a map here, and there's also a list. So if you know where the project is, you can find it on the map. If you just know what the name of it is, you can search for it in this list. These lists are all sortable, both by the project name, the park that it's taking place in, and the district, the magisterial district that the work is being done in. This list can be exported to a Excel spreadsheet by clicking the CSV here. If you want to pull out just the spending based on the magisterial district and the project names, you can export all that data. If you want to learn more about a project that's going on, you can either click on it in the map or out of this list. And as you go in, it'll bring up a lot more information on the project. It'll show you a little bit better location. It'll give you the project number, a little more details on the budget, what's going on with the project. So all this information will be updated monthly. So you'll have a pretty up-to-date look at what's going on with the project, what phase we're in, and when it will be completed. We'll also include project images, both renderings before the project's getting underway, and then construction photos as the project gets going. So this is just another tool that we can use to share information with the community, keep everyone updated, and really inform the public on all the great work that we're doing. If there are any questions about either of these tools or any more, anything else you want to see on them, I'm happy to go through it.
Robert, can you give them the shortcut to that as well?
I am not sure what it is. I believe it's DPRT Capital Projects.
It's pwcparkprojects.com, pwcparkprojects.com. We try to come up with easy to remember URLs so you can share these with your friends and family.
Yep.
And we will be sure to put that on our website and our social media. And obviously we'll be able to continue to highlight these because we really appreciate you all putting this together. There's a lot of folks throughout the county that don't realize all the different park amenities that are right in their backyards, let alone throughout the county. And we have an embarrassment of riches when it comes to our park amenities throughout the not only the district, but throughout the county too. And we want to make sure that folks are aware because obviously we spend taxpayer dollars, we get funds, we get grants. I know you, Seth, are really, really great about finding those money sources wherever they may be to put and invest in these amenities. And so we want the community to be aware of them. So I think that these tools are a really great way to make sure that the public is able to do that. So like I said, our office will continue to share those out as we find them, and we'll continue to give you guys as much highlights and publicity as we can. That being said, it is now 7:57. We are going to wrap up here. Just wanted to give folks some upcoming events that we have going on. We have our dumpster day coming up here. Give me a second to get the actual date so I don't misquote this. There we go. Our next dumpster day will be this Saturday, 10 a.m. at Bethel United Methodist Church. It will be a community cleanup and a dumpster day. So this coming Saturday at Bethel United Methodist Church. You can find out more information about that on our social media and our website. It will be from 10 a.m. For a few hours. So please come out if you have stuff to throw out. You want to help clean up the community, because it's not, we really appreciate our parks and our open spaces, but our neighborhoods and our developed areas need some love too when it comes to community cleanup. So please come out to that. And then the town of Occoquan is having their artisan market, which is going to be on May 8th from 10 a.m. until May 9th at 5 p.m. That's in the town of Occoquan at Rivermill Park. That is the Occoquan Artisan Markets. That said, Mr. Handler Boss, Ms. Sheridan, Mr. Nelson, is there anything you wanted to share with the constituents before we wrap it up and close it out? Right. I'm seeing shaking of heads. I really, really appreciate our panelists that joined us tonight. Like we said, we have a lot going on in the Occoquan District and throughout the community. These parks are your parks. We are here to serve you as Occoquan District residents. We want to make sure that folks get out there, enjoy the great outdoors, whether it's our passive use trails and open spaces or some of our more active use recreational facilities all throughout the district. If you have any other further ideas, questions, concerns, or comments about parks or anything else, please reach out to my office. We are here to serve you. You can reach us on our website, through email, through phone. Again, occoquandistrict.net